Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we'll discuss the various banners that have been released with the newest Manifest Fight Tsubamis, and of course, it also features the newest unit AS Hina. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So let's go with tonight's episode of Should You Summon. Right into the Fateful, and so this is not the dedicated AS Hina banner. This is actually the 2x max Fateful encounter Recollection Tales from the East. Now remember that Hina was actually featured in one of the early episodes of Tales from the East, the other unit being featured at the time, Yukino. And of course, after that, we did have, Iya Sakia, we had Nikoko, and then Kikyo and AS Nika was also featured in one of the previous ones as well. And so, most of those units are actually featured in this particular paid 10 pull. So again, this needs a Heaven's subscription ticket or 1,000 paid stones. On the 10th encounter, you guarantee one of the following 10 units. So both versions of Hina, both versions of Nekoko, both versions of Yukino, both versions of Kikyo, and both versions of Tsubame. And obviously, only on pull 10, it's guaranteed 10% flat across the board times 10. Other than that, none of the units here are going to be upgraded. So it's almost like pulling on the general banner, except on the 10th pull, you guarantee one of the 10 featured units. Keep in mind that, it won't have any upgrades. Other than that, Hina is slightly higher at 0.05% for 4.5, but you can clearly see the odds are not great for any particular one unit. Spread evenly across the board for the most part. Monaka, Ify, and most of the most powerful units are here, being that's paid banner. Volva is there, and all the way down. And unfortunately, there are the bots, Rainbows, Sisters, and Knights, as well as the 3.5s and other filler units. So, should you summon on this banner? As much as we'll go over all the units just quickly speaking. Some of them are older and some of them are newer. So with the 5 units, we can talk about Yukino being probably one of the newer units. You've seen me use AS Yukino quite a lot. She is the mainstay in terms of the premier Pierce Zone setter, I would consider at this point. I know that Iya Sakia and you also do have, the Pierce Zone Grasted that can do Pierce Zone for you. But what AS Yukino offers in terms of Pierce Zone is unmatched. She's got a break while setting Pierce Zone if there's no zone, which is her only limitation. Type Shield, possibility of doing Type Down and Pierce Resistance down up to 100%. Can lock in Awakened Zone. She has some other supported units that can give modest boosts to crit damage. Very, very powerful. Now, the normal style hasn't been upgraded for a very long time. I mean, she did come out at the same time as regular Hina, and so I won't mention her at this point. Not to say she's not good at this point, she just has been power crept to the point where I don't think she's going to be considered a meta unit. Now, in terms of Nekoko, Nekoko, even in normal style, is quite the powerhouse. She has the ability to shield, she has the ability to change to any element zone, guaranteed crit, increased crit damage. She has a heal attack that also does significant damage. List goes on and on. She can regenerate MP. And her AS1 can change everyone for one turn to the element of the zone in play, which makes her extremely valuable for tying together your wacky elemental units all into one element with, as long as you have an elemental zone setter or an elemental zone grasta. Very, very powerful in its own right. In terms of Tsubame, obviously with Tsubame's Manifest coming out, she will be much more brought up to speed. However, I haven't tried her out to see if she still would be considered meta. In terms of her AS counterpart, she's been out for about 1.5 years, and I would say that if you have her, she's still very viable. She has a 0 MP farming move. She does have a dual debuff 35-35, which is decent, but not as powerful as some of the 50-50s out there. Respectable damage outside and inside AF, and so on and so forth. Kikyo, normal style, again, Without a manifest, she's been power crept to a fair amount. However, the ES version is still one of the best win/DPS out there in the game. The fact that she can create a clone and do multi-attacks, her clone copies the attacks of AS Kiko herself, makes her extremely powerful, and the clone can actually take a single hit for you, so that Kiko can survive a single hit AoE that other units may not be able to without the advantage of hold ground. Not only that, she can apply slash resist down, she can speed herself up quite a bit, and she can do many hits which can power up combo rate in terms of large AFs. And finally, Hina, can't say I used her very often. Her preemptive speed down at 1 point for the normal style is decent, at the time one of the few that can do that. However, the fact that she's a wind unit with 2 different styles of attack, I believe a slash and a blunt, made her unusable for many kind of slashed or like weapon zone teams. And in terms of pure raw damage, I don't think she was very highly sought after at the time. In terms of her AS, we'll get to that shortly, and obviously the value of the banner really depends on how much you value AS Hina among the other AS units. I would consider all the regular units to be subsidiary prizes at best, although they do give you exposure to the AS if you haven't had them in any form. And so my general rule with these kind of banners is if you are missing more than half to 2/3 of the unit and you really want them, I suppose you can use a paid encounter for it. In general, though, being that we've had a lot of powerful units, some of which you may or may not have gotten yet, you may be all drawn out of paid stones or just bled out from other sources of spending. And so, this would be secondary to some of the other units out there in general. Again, if you like so many of the units that this is completely full rate up for you, then, you can consider units being that some of them are still quite powerful and all the AS ones do have some role even now. But there's just a lot of competing capital out there in terms of powerful banners, and so I'll leave it at that, and you'll have to decide for yourself how valuable you consider each of the other units, especially if you've had the normal style in some of those forms, in which case I would advise against pulling. And the same thing with the AS Hina banner. This one is again a 2-time shot. This one is a full rate up, 0.4 for the 4.5, 0.8 for the normal style, 0.8 for the AS. Pulls 1 to 9 are normal rate up, and pull 10 is only a flat 10% chance. With the paid banner, Minolka and all the EFs and out there, AS Flam and so on and so forth are all still here, just like the other banner. And again, bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights, unfortunately, galore out there. And we'll get right into the regular banner as well. So, for the regular banner, unfortunately, it is not a full rate up. Anytime an AS unit is released alongside a manifest battle, the manifest unit does get a rate up as well. And note that the Tsubami normal style has a 1.2 chance of being rated up. That is 0.4 for the 4.5 and 0.8 for the 5-star, whereas the normal style Hina is not uprated at all. 0.03% chance for the 4.5, 0.01% chance for the 5, and only a 0.8% chance for the AS Hina. So if you really want Hina and you're a free-to-play player, this is your only banner at the moment. However, keep in mind that it is a split banner, and so it'll be a lot harder to get her in any form. And so it really comes down to, how good is AS Hina? And let me tell you, I've looked at her kit up and down, trying to make sense of it. It seems that she needs a lot of conditions to go right in order to set her up for either pure defense or pure offense. And so, obviously, let's go down her list of moves. She's an extremely fast wind unit, but the one thing right off the bat is just like her normal style, she has multiple weapon type attacks, and they might not tie into weapon zone fights. They might be best suited for wind elemental fights or teams, and so if you have a wind zone team that you really want to add someone like Hina AS to, that might not be that bad. But the fact that her VC does wind, pierce, AoE, and implies pain and poison, and her setup move is wind blunt, and her main DPS move is wind slash. Keep in mind that they're all different weapon types, and with the exception of having no magic attacks, that is 3 different weapon types attacks on one unit, which is really interesting and might be difficult to tie in. That being said, she is one of the, I guess, newer units in the fact that it's almost like a trend with WFS where they have a very powerful tank that can also do significant DPS under certain conditions. And so AS Hina is no exception. Basically, to make a long story short, she can activate cover, which is basically tank for all attacks. So every attack that comes your way, she'll eat it. And for her specifically, she can actually do almost like a special ability where once she does a single move to set up, she will lose half her HP. However, she can dodge attacks that are incoming towards her, depending on the speed difference between her and the unit. And so she does have a speed down attack that can help increase the difference between the fight and yourself. And if you can get it to the maximum difference, you can get up to 90% dodge rate. So each attack coming towards her will be a 10% chance. Now, that being said, cover should also mean that it eats AoEs as well, although I can't be 100% sure since I don't have AS Hina. But based on the description, I would imagine that's the case because it would activate similarly to Efi's Blood Contract, where your Blood Contract minions eat the damage. Now, provided you have some RNG going your way and you 90% dodge multiple hits, she'll stack a stack like most AS do, and you can use those stacks to either consume them all to increase her type attack up to 100%, or you can stack them all into one go and you can release her main DPS slash move that at 10 stacks, that means she will have had to be eating up to 10 attacks, and I'm not sure really how you could get that done. She can do a single shot that can do over 8,000 modifier, which is among the top attacks in the game. It's also a single enemy XL times 3 attack. And so even at the lower mods, each attack can do a significant amount of damage, and basically the 8,000 mod means that you'll attack 10 attacks instead of just one attack essentially. And so what it seems to me is that it's going to be a long setup. I'm not sure if you can get all 10 stacks in one move. From the research I've done, I don't see that being possible other than an enemy attacking you over and over again. Even her normal moves only give her 2 stacks, and she needs up to 10 to get the full thing. So I think she does rely on a lot of attacks coming her way in order to eat or use her cover move to get all those stacks. And then when she gets enough stacks, she can either release the damage all in one go, or continue tanking and things like that. So my opinion on AS Hina is just a similarity to AS Garam Barrel. Very nice niche kit. Not sure is very simple to use, and honestly, I think in terms of other tanks out there, as much as she does have a lot more DPS than say the tanks such as AS Radius, I think Hina will be a lot more difficult to use, and the fact that she does rely on some RNG is not something I would personally like to use. I mean, it'll be a nice bonus if you already have a Hina, but I can't see her being a must summon at this point in the game at least. Now, that being said, for some people she is hot, and hotness does matter, and for those who consider her a 10 out of 10 waifu, hey, by all means summon. But if you're talking about from a free-to-play standpoint, using your stones to the best of its ability to get the best units out there, I would say it is a pass, at least in my opinion. So let me know in the comments below what you think about my opinion, if you agree or disagree, if you think I'm completely wrong with the kit, or if she's awesome and I really don't realize it. Yeah, I guess at this point that's how I feel. And of course, being that I have Hina in a 5-star unit already, I will not be summoning on this banner. Okay, so other than that, we can move on from this banner, wait for the future banners and future updates, and of course, make sure you level up your Tsubami's Manifest Weapon to take down the second and more difficult fight after this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.